logic statements, truth values, if-then statements, converse, inverse, contrapositive, law of syllogism, law of detachment. Okay, that's what we're starting today. And this is proofs. So if you have older siblings, you say, Ms. Jackson said we're starting proofs this chapter, they'll probably say, oh, proofs, but they're my fave, so you're going to love them. All right. A conditional statement is just a statement in the form if, then. A conditional statement does not have to be true. If your name is Miss Jackson, then you teach math. Is that true 100% of the time?
No.
No, because Janet Jackson does not teach math, right? So a conditional statement does not have to be true. It's just an if-then statement. That's the only thing that has to be, if-then. So if the weather is good, then I will go swimming. So your if-then statement is going to have two parts. It's going to have a hypothesis and it's going to have a conclusion. Where have you heard the word hypothesis before? Science. The scientist comes up with a hypothesis, right? An educated guess. So if the weather is good, then I will go swimming. I have no idea why they chose the letters P and Q, but for hypothesis, we're going to use P. For conclusion, we're going to use Q, okay? So sometimes you will see this written as if P, then Q. And another way you can see that written is like this, with the arrow, and that's what that means. A P with an arrow and then a Q, that means if P, then Q. The converse of a conditional statement is written by interchanging the hypothesis and the conclusion. So in a few minutes, I'm going to say I want you to write the converse of this statement. You're going to take the statement and you're going to switch it around. So instead of being if P, then Q, it's going to be if Q, then P. If I go swimming, then the weather is good. Again, the truth value doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a true statement, okay? So it could be, all right, it could be a true statement. If I go to Jackson Prep, then I wear a hoodie. Could be true, might not be true. If I wear a hoodie, then I go to Jackson Prep. The if-then statement does not mean I'm saying a true statement. It could be a true statement or a false statement. All right, negation. Negation is when we are taking a verb and we are changing it from is to is not, or from can to can't, or from will to will not. So negation is just the opposite. That's all you got to write. The opposite. Negation is the opposite. And the symbol for negation is just this guy right here. Remember how we drew him on top of the equal sign for congruent? So just that guy right there, that means negation. So if I say the weather is good, if you're going to negate that, you're going to say the weather is not good. Okay? All right, conditional statement, just if-then. Converse, you're going to take it and switch the order. Now we're going to talk a second about inverse. To write the inverse, you write the conditional, to show you an example of all this in just a minute. You write the conditional and you negate the verbs. You write the conditional, so same order as the original, and you negate the verbs. So, if the weather is not good, then I will
Stay inside.
Not swim.
not go swimming. You can't change what it says, you just change the verbs.
So like on the example negation, you can't say like the weather is bad.
Right, just change it to, like, if I go to Jackson Prep, then I will wear a hoodie. Then you would change it to, if I do not go to Jackson Prep, then I will not wear a hoodie.
So you just basically like a not.
But it could have been not at the beginning, so you would change it to like yes.
Okay.
If I make a bad grade on the test, my mom will not give me my allowance. So if I change that, then she is going to give me my allowance. Okay? All right, so we have conditional, converse, you're going to switch the order. Inverse, you're going to keep it in the same order, but you're going to change the verbs. And then we're going to have contrapositive. The contrapositive of a conditional is formed by writing the converse. That means we have to switch the order. And then negating the hypothesis and the conclusion. So the original was P then Q, right? Converse, we did Q then P. Inverse, write this right here, not P, then not Q. So what is this one going to be? We're switching it and changing the verbs.
Not Q, not P.
Not Q, then not P. So, if I
If I don't go swimming,
don't go swimming,
then the weather is not good.
then the weather is not good. Now, I want to write these out to the side, okay? So you'll have them all in one place. Because the very first question on your test is, I'm going to give you a conditional, and you're going to write the converse, inverse, and contrapositive. Now, these are not in the same order as they were in our notes, so I want to make sure we write them down. So your conditional is always going to be if P, then Q. If P, then Q. Okay, what's inverse?
If Q, then P.
If not P, then not Q. It's not in the same order as your notes. All right, what's converse? If Q, then P. You're just switching the order. And then what's contrapositive?
Not Q.
Not Q, not P. All right. So we're going to do one together, then you're going to do one on your own. So I'm going to make up a math conditional statement, and we're going to decide if it's a true or false statement, okay? So your conditional is going to be, if a polygon has 3 sides, then it is a triangle. Is that a true statement? Yes. If a polygon has 3 sides, then it is a triangle. So for inverse, what am I going to write?
If it is a triangle, or
If
it
it
does
does
not
not
have
have
three
three
sides,
sides,
It is not a triangle.
A polygon does not have 3 sides, then it is not a triangle. If a polygon does not have 3 sides, then it is not a triangle. All right, what's converse going to be? Okay. If it is a triangle, then the polygon or a polygon has 3 sides. And lastly, if it is not a triangle, then the polygon does not have 3 sides. Now, the last statement says to you, the conditional statement and the contrapositive always have the same truth value. So if the conditional statement is true, the contrapositive is always true. If the conditional statement is false, then the contrapositive is always false. The inverse and the converse can be the opposite values, but the conditional and the contrapositive always have the same truth value.
What if it has 3 sides, but the sides are curved? What if there are multiple things that can change what a triangle is not? So if a polygon has 3 sides, then
A polygon is defined as
it's impossible to for the conditional and the conditional. Sorry.
if the conditional statement is true, the contrapositive has to be true. There are no curved sides to a polygon. So if it's a square, it can't have 3 sides, right? If it's a hexagon, it can't have 3 sides. So if it's not a triangle, then it does not have 3 sides. All right, so I want you to do this first one. It's on the back. And this is not in this, you got to be careful with the order. I'm changing them up. So you've got to look back and see which one's converse and which one's inverse. So your conditional statement, if Sally visits Florida, then she will go to Disney World. That's your conditional statement. And you're going to take and you're going to write converse, inverse, contrapositive. I'm going to give you just a minute.
Jackson, can you flip that to the first one real quick?
Be careful because they're in a different order than the one we did.
On the first.
What?
Do we only do the first?
If Sally visits Florida, then she will go to Disney World. Is that a true statement?
Not all the time.
Not necessarily. You can go to Florida and go to Destin, right? Okay. So the converse, what do we do to write the converse?
You just swap them. So
You just
she-
swap them. So if she goes to Disney World,
We'll have visited Florida.
then Sally visits Florida. True or false?
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. If you're going to Disney World, then you're in Florida. Inverse, what?
Did you say Sally will visit Florida?
Inverse, we take the original and do what?
But not.
Just put not. If Sally does not visit Florida, then she will not go to Disney World. If Sally doesn't go to Florida, right, then she will not go to Disney World. True or false?
True.
True. If she doesn't go to Florida, then she can't go to Disney World. All right, what do I do for contrapositive?
Put negative and you swap them.
Negative and you swap. If she does not go to Disney World, then Sally does not visit Florida. If she does not go to Disney World, then she does not visit Florida. True or false?
True.
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 If she does not go to Disney World.
True.
Okay, well, what about
True or
Destin?
false?
No, she can't visit.
Yeah, we could go to Destin and visit Florida, right? Okay, so the conditional statement and the contrapositive always have the same truth value. Okay, so the very first question on this test, I give you the conditional and you write converse, inverse, contrapositive. So you have to have that memorized. What do you do for each one? So converse, just flip the order. Inverse, leave them in the order but change the verbs. And contrapositive, you do both. Okay?
So you have to do them in that order.
It'll give it to you. Like it'll say converse, inverse, contrapositive. Okay? All right, there are two laws of logic that you have to know for this chapter. One of those laws of logic is called the law of detachment. The law of detachment. And the biggest thing that you have to remember for the law of detachment is there is only one conditional statement. So there's two laws of logic that you're going to learn, and this one is only going to have one conditional statement. That's how you're going to know it's the law of detachment. So the law of detachment says, given a conditional statement that is true and a hypothesis that is true, then the conclusion is also true. So let me give you an example. If an angle is obtuse, then it cannot be acute. True? Okay. Angle A is obtuse. Therefore, what do I know?
It is not
Not acute.
Angle A cannot be acute. So on the test, I'm going to give you something like this, and you have to give me which law. You're going to say law of detachment, and then you're going to give me like the therefore, like what happens. So in law of detachment, there's only one conditional statement. Remember, conditional means if, then. And then you're going to write, do you see how this is, the hypothesis is repeated? Then you're going to write the conclusion. Okay? Read the second one and write down what you think. If I pass the test, then I get an A in geometry. I passed the test. So I got an A in geometry. You have one conditional statement. The hypothesis is repeated. Then you can add your conclusion. Now look at the third one. If a person goes to the zoo, then he or she will see animals. I saw animals.
Not valid.
Person went to the zoo.
Not valid.
Why not valid?
Because it doesn't specify that you can't see animals anywhere else.
And what did I repeat?
You repeated the back part.
I repeated the conclusion. So this is not valid. If you look at the first two, what did I repeat?
You repeated that for
I repeated the hypothesis. So if I repeat the conclusion, not valid. Okay? If I am in second carrier geometry with Miss Jackson, then I'm the best student. Wells is the best student. I repeated the conclusion. You have to repeat the hypothesis. Okay? So if the conclusion is repeated, not valid. Questions before I do the second law? All right, go to the second page, and I want you to go to the first two while I pull something up on the computer. So if you go to the next page, look at those two while I pull something up.